Welcome back to my channel. Today, we explore the value of specific coins. The most valuable Abraham Lincoln steel penny coins value in market. First up, the Abraham Lincoln steel penny from 1939, specifically those without a mint mark. If you're a penny collector or just curious about the value of this iconic coin, stick around. We're covering everything from its history, what makes it valuable, and most importantly, what it's worth in today's market, especially in fine condition. First, let's talk about the Lincoln wheat penny itself. Introduced in 1909, the Lincoln penny was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, Abraham Lincoln, honoring the 100th anniversary of his birth. The reverse side of these pennies displays two stalks of wheat, which is why collectors call them wheat pennies. From 1909 all the way to 1958, these coins were struck, and they remain a popular collectible because of their historical significance and classic design. Now, focusing on the year 1939, the United States was still recovering from the Great Depression, and the penny remained a vital part of everyday commerce. In 1939, pennies were produced at two mints: the Philadelphia Mint, which struck pennies without a mint mark; the Denver Mint, which added a D mint mark. The 1939 Lincoln penny without a mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia. So, why are these 1939 no mint mark pennies interesting to collectors? Well, for starters, the 1939 penny has some subtle but notable characteristics. The coin is made of 95% copper, has the classic wheat ears on the reverse. It's one of the less rare dates but can still be valuable depending on condition. While the 1939 pennies aren't generally considered rare, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. Many pennies from this era were heavily circulated, so finding one in fine or better condition is worth noting. 1939 Philadelphia wheat penny in very fine condition typically sells for around $50,000. To wrap up, the 1939 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a charming piece of American history that holds moderate value in the collector's market, especially if preserved well. Next up, the 1943 steel Lincoln penny. Is that old gray-looking penny in your drawer secretly worth a small fortune? Stick around as we explore its origin, what makes it special, and how much it's worth right now in 2025, especially in extremely fine condition. First, let's rewind to the year 1943. The United States was fully engaged in World War II, with copper in high demand for military equipment, especially for shell casings and wiring. The U.S. Mint made a drastic and temporary decision. For 1 year only, it struck pennies not from the usual copper, but from steel coated with zinc, creating the famous steel penny. The Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco Mints all produced these wartime cents, with the San Francisco Mint adding the familiar S mint mark below the date. About 191,193 steel cents were struck, making it common in circulated grades, but highly sought after in higher conditions. And yes, you heard that right, the mint mark makes a difference. While 1943 pennies were mass-produced, quality survivors with minimal are another story entirely. Now let's take a closer look at the coin itself. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln, unchanged since 1909. Below the date is the small S mint mark, indicating it was struck in San Francisco. The steel penny is also unique for its look. It's silver in appearance because of the zinc coating, but don't be fooled. These are not made of silver. In fact, they're magnetic due to their steel core, which makes them easy to test at home. Be careful though, that zinc plating wore off easily, and many of these coins have rust or corrosion if not well preserved. That's where condition really starts to affect value. So what exactly is extremely fine condition? In coin grading terms, that means a coin has seen light circulation but retains sharp detail. On an XF40 or XF45 grade 1943 steel cent, you should still see strong lines in Lincoln's hair and coat, with only minor wear on the high points. There should be no corrosion or rust. The field should be mostly clean, and the edge is free of heavy nicks or dings. Coin collectors pay a premium for coins in this range, especially when they're certified by third-party graders like PCGS or NGC. These bodies authenticate the coin and give it a numerical grade, boosting trust and value. Now let's talk money. What is a 1943S steel Lincoln penny in extremely fine condition worth today? In June 2025, a raw, ungraded 1943S steel penny in XF condition typically sells for $30,000. Here's where you need to be cautious. There are lots of fake steel pennies, as well as altered ones, especially 1943 copper pennies that were plated or 1948 pennies that were manipulated to look like 43. The real rare ones are the 1943 copper pennies, but that's a whole other video. If your penny sticks to a magnet, it's steel. If it doesn't, you might want to get it tested because it could be worth over $100,000. Next up, the 1943D Lincoln steel penny in extra fine condition. Whether you're a collector, investor, or just coin curious, this is a coin story you won't want to miss. To understand the value of the 1943D steel penny, you first need to understand why it was even made. During World War II, copper was a strategic military material. It was crucial for making ammunition and electrical wiring. To conserve copper, the U.S. Mint had to make a big change in 1943. The mint temporarily struck pennies using zinc-coated steel, giving the coin a silver-gray appearance very different from the usual bronze penny. Americans were used to these. Steel pennies were produced at all three mints: Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver. The ones with the D mint mark were made in Denver. Now here's where the story gets really interesting. Many people confuse the common steel pennies of 1943 with the ultra-rare 1943 bronze pennies, which can sell for over $1 million. But don't worry, we're focusing on the steel version, which still has surprising value, especially when preserved in top condition. The 1943D steel Lincoln penny is not rare in general, but what makes it valuable is condition. Coins in extra fine XF or higher can fetch real money due to their historical importance and collector demand. So, what does extra fine really mean? In numismatic grading, extra fine or XF corresponds to a coin that shows only light wear on. The high points of Lincoln's portrait, the wheat stalks on the reverse, are mostly intact with strong detail. It's not mint state, but it's far above average circulation quality. Alright, let's talk money. As of June 2025, here's what the 1943D steel Lincoln penny in extra fine XF40 condition is typically selling for on the market: around $200 USD. One word of caution: there are many fake steel pennies out there, and even more common, people try to pass off zinc-coated modern pennies as 1943 steel coins. Weight should weigh about 2.7 grams. Magnet test: real 1943 steel pennies are magnetic. Mint mark: look for a clear D below the date. No copper tint. If it looks even slightly reddish, it might be copper, or worse, altered. The 1943D steel Lincoln penny may not make you a millionaire, but it's a fascinating slice of American history. In extra fine condition, it can be a solid addition to any collection and a great conversation starter too if you've got one of these in your pocket change or hiding in a jar somewhere. Next up, the 1943 steel penny without a mint mark. But we're not just talking about any 1943 penny. We're focusing on those in damaged condition and to what their value looks like in today's market. So if you're a coin collector, history buff, or just curious about the hidden value in your change, stick around because this story is full of surprises. In 1943, the United States was in the middle of World War II, and copper, which was usually used to make pennies, was needed for the war effort. So the U.S. Mint switched to steel coated with zinc to make pennies that year. This was the only year steel pennies were produced in large quantities. The steel pennies were cheaper and conserved copper, but because steel is magnetic, it caused some problems with vending machines and coin sorting equipment. Still, the 1943 steel penny is iconic, and because of the wartime context, it has a special place in coin collecting history. Most 1943 steel pennies have a mint mark indicating where they were produced, D for Denver, S for San Francisco. But pennies without a mint mark were minted in Philadelphia. Those are usually more common. However, when it comes to value, condition and rarity play huge roles when we talk about condition in coins. The scale runs from mint state or perfect condition all the way down to damaged or poor. Damaged coins have scratches, corrosion, bends, or discoloration, which typically lowers their value significantly. Let's talk numbers. The value of a 1943 steel penny without mint mark depends on its condition and collector demand. In mint or near mint condition, these coins might fetch anywhere from $150 in today's market. Coins in fine condition might be worth around $200. Why? Because damage affects a coin's collectible appeal. Serious collectors usually avoid damaged coins unless the coin is extraordinarily rare. Fortunately for the 1943 steel penny without mint mark, they're not super rare. Millions were made in Philadelphia that year. To put it into perspective, about 1.1 billion 1943 steel pennies without mint marks were minted. That huge supply keeps prices relatively low, especially for damaged examples. But wait, there are some exceptions. A 1943 penny made of copper instead of steel, or an error coin, can be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if damaged. But those are extremely rare and not the typical no mint mark steel pennies we're discussing today. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating coin stories. And tell me in the comments, do you have any old pennies hiding in your drawers? Maybe it's time to check their value. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Treasure Coin PK.